Kokanee this morning, which is right here by the secondary North Fork powerhouse at Lake Cushman. It's a very small lake. I don't even know if it's 100 acres, but it's selective as far as boats and stuff. You can only be human powered. I think it's less than 7.5, internal combustion restricted. I haven't been here before, so we're going to give it a try and see what we can come up with. I'm trolling a red Max Imperial spoon. Nothing on it. I got 2 colors of lead in the water. So Pete said he just picked up a trout. I haven't seen it yet, but we'll get some footage of it. It's a beautiful day, and hopefully we'll be onto something here. We'll see.
So, morning folks. Mike and I tried to go out to Price Lake in Mason County, and the road was closed. We couldn't get out there. So we pulled an audible and we came out to Kokanee Lake, also in Mason County. On the right side of the kayak, I am trolling a pink God's Tooth spoon, and I was down 121 feet. So that is 50 foot of top shot and about 1.5 colors in the water, almost 2 colors in the water. On the left side of the kayak, I'm pulling a Trout Tricks worm and bubble gum.
I mentioned I had some colors out, but I'm running lead core on this rig. This has an extremely short top shot. It's only about the length of the rod, so it fishes pretty close to the boat. I had about 80 feet out right there, 2 colors in the water. So you don't really need as much length behind the boat for the kayak because it's quiet. You're not banging around quite so much. So I'm gonna let that thing out there. I mentioned the water temperature. The other thing is, it's kind of a transitional season right now. Water temps in the 50s. I elected to go with wading pants today, which is pretty nice when you're getting the boat in and out, but it might not be too nice later in the day when I'm sweating like a pig. So at some point I may have to transition out of that. But just all the nuances of kayak fishing. Pete does a lot more of it than I do. I really need to up my game.
Again, really nice trout in this lake.
These are both Pete's kayaks, and they're rigged up. They're the same kayak. His is rigged up with H-rails, and he's got some different gear on it. More room to mount things. This one doesn't have a ton of room to mount things on. So I do have a rod holder that's mounted over here, but it sort of interferes with my pedaling. So I'm probably just going to fish one rod with, you know, the rod in my hand a lot of the time. That way you guys can maybe see what's going on there, and I won't have to fumble around and fall in the lake.
Oh, that one, oh, I had a double. So you saw that I had one on the spinner. I went to go get that one and it popped off. And one hooked up on the God's Tooth spoon in pink, 121 feet. So about 2 colors in the water. And on this left side with the spinner, I'm 100 feet back.
But we'll see. So I'm just going to keep pedaling and turn into him a little bit. Let him come on the side of the boat where my net side is. There's quite a few boats out here, but it's very quiet and peaceful. Because it's not a big powerboat lake. Which I enjoy fishing powerboat lakes too, but Sometimes it's nice to get out quiet. There's my bead. Where is he? There he is on the surface, and there he goes. Maybe I need to go to a barbed hook, because that's the second one come off right at the boat. We'll get a look at one for you. I don't think he's much of anything. So I'm trolling about 175. Water temp is 54. I'll turn a little bit into him. Pete is much better at this kayak fishing thing than I am. I just like to fish out of water in this thing, so bear with me here. On the surface. Oh, and he's off right there. So even though this is not a selective gear lake, I'm using that that little spoon, and it has a single hook on it. If I can get it out of there, I'll show it to you. Using the that's just a Max Imperial spoon, very lightweight plastic spoon, and it's got a single hook on it, and I'm running a barbless hook because I've got mostly barbless stuff in my kayak gear. Some of the lakes we fish are selective, so sometimes you lose some fish with selective gear stuff, but they are definitely easier to release, easier on the fish.
So again, I was just back down maybe 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and hooked up again on that Gauge 2 spoon.
And he feels a little better. We'll see. To my bead. Keep the pressure on him and get the net here. There he is. Oh, he's a good 12 inches. There's that fish right there. Not bad. According to Fish Finder, I just saw guys catch one right behind me. I just picked one up about 2 minutes ago, and there's another one. Another nice trout. I want to touch him if I can avoid it, but there's that trout. I don't know if you can see him. That's number 4. Troll on over here to Pete and see what he has to say. He's running 2 rods. This is a 2-pole lake according to the regulations. Water temp 54. I don't know if I told you that.
So just coming across that middle again, and had a monster takedown and missed it, and then come back on this end, and this thing is put a pretty good bend in the rod. So let's see what we get to look at here. That's 8 so far. It's been pretty good.
Pete's got a few fish on. He said he's caught a few good sized ones, so let's see what we can do here. I don't care for about kayak fishing. I always feel like I'm fishing behind me, which I guess you are when you're trolling anyway, but on the boat I can turn around, walk to the transom. It doesn't feel quite the same. I mean, it's a productive way to fish, no doubt about it. And it's beautiful out here. So everything's got its pluses and minuses, I guess. Come on, buddy. I'd like to see this one. I'm gonna turn the rudder a little bit. See if we can't get him up to us here. Another nice trout. And move him up there where you can see him. I'm not running a net cam on this. Pete's running a net cam on his, so he really ought to have some good footage there. I really enjoy the net cam footage.
Yep, fish on.
But they plant this thing up to 5 times a year.
I don't know if I'm doing this right or not, but I usually tend to turn a little bit into them to get the fish on the net inside of the boat. Gotta keep some pressure on them, of course, but doesn't have to be nuts. Especially when you're running such a short top shot, you don't have much line out. I'm only 80 feet behind the kayak here. So there's the bead. There's the fish right on the surface. Another beautiful rainbow. Right into the net. And there he is. Fires away. A little bit bigger of a fish there. That's 6, and I think, to be honest, I didn't pay a ton of attention to when we started fishing, but I think I've probably been fishing less than an hour. Like I said, I have never been to this lake before. Pete's never been to this lake. I worked up here years ago with putting some underground wire and stuff, transformers, there to the North Fork powerhouse, which is right next to this. So I knew where the lake was, and I knew it was, you know, people enjoyed fishing it, but this wasn't where we set out to go today. Actually, we set out to go to Price Lake, which I think is another small lake up here by Lake Cushman, but we couldn't get there. It looks like the road was closed for some logging activity or something. So
I only tend to lose them at the side of the kayak, but that's just because I got the barbless hooked and I'm trying to fart around with a net. Which, you know, catch and release, it's not hurting anything.
You gotta get Herbert double, buddy.
All right. So I'm pulling in, Mike's next to me, he's pulling one in right now. I'm gonna steer outboard so we don't get tangled. Ain't a bad fish.
I can hear this one, but I can't see him. He's behind me. I'm trying not to get in the line, but I'll be able to. They're feisty.
Well, they planted it the 21st.
Huh?
They planted this the 21st.
Right there, right inside your boat.
Oh, that's a real nice fish.
7 or 8 times I've been out on this kayak, I guess. And I've always fiddled and farted with where's the best place for the rod and all that. Pete's running 2, one that way and one that way, of course. And he's got some different rod holders, but like I said, this rod holder is different for me. It doesn't really work with the pedals. So I'm just kind of holding it here across me, and I think I like this better than having it in the rod holder because you don't have to grab anything. Probably don't see the rod tip and stuff as well, I don't know, but it seems to be working fairly well. Surprised how deep the water is in here. Out there in the middle, there's a couple spots where it's over 100 feet. I'm in 50-something feet of water here, going over a little hump, and it's showing nice fish marks there.
So this one coming in now, I just switched to a Trout Tricks minnow, and I'm running it 115 feet behind the kayak in pink, and I got that action disc set about an inch or so off its nose. Got a double going. I got to keep the pressure on the pedals. See if I can land this one really quick and get the other one. Oh, that one just came off. This one's still on.
I like the way when that fish came off right next to the boat,
Yeah.
you switched to your spare fish on.
Yes, exactly.
Didn't talk about electronics. You see, well, there's a fish. Let's talk about catching that fish. So he came on fairly fast there, and I think it was, I had turned the rudder just slightly and slowed down, and that seems like, you know, if there's something following it, a lot of times that change in speed or change in direction will really trigger that fish. So right now there's a little bit of breeze coming up my left shoulder there, and it's just kind of pushing us a little bit. So the boat's still moving, but I'm not giving him power. And he don't want to quit just yet. There he is. He is a big fat guy. Look at him. See him? I hope you can see him. Beautiful fish. Just right onto that spoon, and nothing else. No other attractors, nothing like that. We'll get him back in the water. Okay, I was talking about electronics. I don't remember the model number. This is just a 4-inch Garmin that I'm running here. And a lot of people are running pretty big electronics and stuff on their kayaks. This thing was fairly inexpensive. It's on a Yak Trax mount, so the transducer, everything, the battery, all attaches to that same mount. Just goes right onto the kayak all in one piece. The transducer will flip up. If you get into some shallow water, you can just pull it up out of the way, push it right back down. I find this 4-inch to be plenty of electronics for this boat. Now, of course, I'm not doing any tournament fishing or anything weird like that. I'm just spotting fish and looking at bottom contour, but you know, your mileage may vary. But I find this 4-inch Garmin to be perfect for this. It doesn't clutter up the boat too much, easy to use. Should be number 8, I think. He didn't want to go in the net. I don't blame him. Never know if you're going to come out of it again. And not monsters, but beautiful fish. So for some reason, the fish have that tonic immobility, is what I've heard it called, where they, if you get them upside down, and it's hard not to in the net when you put them back in the water, where they get upside down and they get disoriented and they just don't want to swim. So I'm trying to roll them up in the net to where they're right side up. Most of the time they try and go almost in the back of the net, so they're swimming in the back of the net. You're trying to get them pointed in the right direction. I don't know if it helps them or not. I try not to pull them out of the net if I don't have to, because I don't have to get my hands on them and wipe off all that slime. That net is that plasticky material, so it's got no knots, that kind of stuff. And I just try and get them pointed in the right direction and just kind of swoop the net out around them so they can just take off and go back into the water. I don't know how well it works, but they all seem to be darting away from here pretty ready to go and healthy. So that's number 8. End of the lake here, and I see Pete's got his net out. He must have a fish going already. I'm curious to see what he gets for footage and how he does today. That's one of the different things. Of course, we fish a lot out of the boat, and you know, it's a lot like team fishing, right? One guy can net, one guy can fish, you know, fight the fish, and one guy can control the boat. And when you're out here doing the kayak thing, that's one of the things I miss, is you don't have the constant conversation that you have when you're fishing out of the boat. But it is kind of fun to watch. You stay, you know, in earshot or close enough to see what's going on. You can see what the other guy's catching and how he's doing what he's doing and that kind of stuff. So it's all got its intricacies to it. And I certainly am no expert on kayak fishing, that's for certain. I'm still figuring it out. So tell you one thing though, if I can get a kayak without something I gotta pedal around with my feet, I'm thinking that's a good day.
We got another double? Well, they're finally sticking on this minnow. Yeah. Oh, that's a nice fish there, Mike.
I can keep them off of you. What number is that?
Like 17.
On the kayak, I like to try and keep things as short as I can. I've gone to some shorter rods. You know, I'm using a naked presentation, meaning just the presentation, no other attractors on there. Now, I'm not saying that stuff won't work, because I'm watching everybody else fish and they're dragging some fairly long strings of stuff. I see fish flashes, I see lake trolls, I see some fairly long groups of stuff coming up out of the water. I don't find that to be super conducive to kayak fishing for me. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying simple is better for me when I'm in the kayak, because I'm a novice at it. But there's a lot of standard trolling gear going on here. I can see dodgers and flashers and lake trolls. So this is the first time I've been on this lake. I can't tell you what that expert bait is or any of that stuff. I just started with a spoon like I normally do. I was gonna go to a loony, but I found that that little imperial right off the bat, and it's been catching fish, so I'm gonna stick with it for a while.
Another?
Yeah. Like you said, we couldn't have messed this up any better. Because I was expecting to catch big trout all day today, and we did. Oh! So just had another nice takedown and pulling some drag. One of the things I did is I put on that Catch America spinner, and that was doing pretty good. And then found a lull, and so switching up, I switched to a Trout Tricks minnow, also from Catch America, in bubblegum. And I did bubblegum just because the pink God's Tooth spoon was doing so well on the right side of the kayak. And so again, as the day changes and conditions change, don't be afraid to make those small adjustments to make sure that you have a successful day on the water. We're coming up on 2 hours on the water, and this will be trout number 20 for me, and I believe Mike's every bit of that, if not more. We got a double. All right.
I'm getting an electric kayak, dude. If I'm gonna kayak at all, I ain't pedaling. Water's still pretty cold up here, which should mean that they're up closer to the surface feeding. And that's what it's been showing us, because we're running 2 colors of lead core, which is not super deep behind this kayak. 80 feet back, it can't be more than a few feet deep. With Mike and Pete going right by each other with 2 fish on. That's awesome. I can see his fish there. We'll clear his line a little bit here and see what we can come up with. I can hear this one, but I can't see him. He's behind me. I was trying not to get in your line, but I might not be able to. Oh man. They're feisty.
So they said it's the 21st.
Huh?
They
Ah.
said it was the 21st.
Right there, right at the side of the boat.
We saw that I was actually reeling in to check my lure just because it had dropped and I got tangled up with that other fish. And as I was reeling in, it had that change in speed and thing just hit it right on the way up. So, oh, just came off right there.
Still there, which I don't know if he is. There he is. Came right to the surface. Oh, there he goes. Okay, so there's one on. Shit. It's 11. He's maybe 12 inches or so. We could have caught a limit and filled the boat with decent fillets in 42 minutes. That was pretty fun to watch.
We should have some pretty good footage, Chuck.
Oh, I don't know if any of it's any good, but it'll be something to watch while you're drinking beer anyway. Is on fire. I bet you I have seen with the boats and Pete and me, I've seen at least 40 fish come in. So, good time of year to be fishing it. One of the guys said that they had stocked it recently. I didn't check any stocking reports or any of that stuff, but that's obviously a good thing to check before you go out fishing. Yeah, he's there. So I tend to quit pedaling when I get the fish going, and that's not really the thing to do. It keeps the pressure on. I see Pete's pulling one in over there. This will be 12 for me. Got my drag set pretty loose. And there we go, we brought him to net. So there's that guy. Right there off our port bow.
You got another double?
Yeah. It's coming up alongside us there with his fish. We should be seeing this one.
Oh, that's a nice fish there, Mike.
So that was 13 for me. No, he's a smaller one. He's probably 11, 10. Sometimes I get lazy and put a lure on and stick with it longer than I should. I'm not above death matching a lure and just fishing most of the day with it because I know it's a good lure and just trying to catch something with it. On the other hand, occasionally, like today, you put on something that you think is probably a good lure for the conditions in the water and the fish, and it just works out. I've been fishing that red imperial spoon since I started on the water here, and it's put 14 fish in the boat so far. So I guess what I'm getting at is if you find something that works, don't feel like you need to change it out every 3 seconds just to try something different. And there's another fish. There's 15. Be there. Let's see. And there he comes on board.